Hey you two, I thought I would just explain this activity to you via video, just so it's a little bit clearer, because sometimes these full turns, half turns, quarter turns can be a little bit tricky. So, I'll go back to the start for what you've already looked through, just to help you guys out. We've obviously been looking at 2D shapes. We went through 2D shapes in term 1, so I know that you guys have a really good understanding of what, I guess, the properties of 2D shapes are, how many sides, how many vertices, and all the different types of 2D shapes as well. We've been looking at symmetry and this concept of flip, slide, and turn. Now, with clockwise and anti-clockwise, with turns, you can turn a shape clockwise or anti-clockwise. So as you can see from this video, if something is turning clockwise, it means that it moves the same direction as the hands on a clock. Now, we did look at time towards the end of last term, so we should all be familiar about which way the hands move on a clock. So if we say something's moving clockwise, it's moving the way that the hands of a clock move. The opposite is anti-clockwise, which obviously means that it moves the opposite direction. So it moves the opposite direction of the hands on a clock. Now with this activity, I have this shape here. It is an arrow, and I'm going to either turn it fully, do a half turn, or do a quarter turn, and it's going to be either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So as I do this with you, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to point to the direction that the arrow is going to be pointing once I do the turn. Okay? So first one, full turn clockwise. All right, I want everybody to point to the direction that the arrow will be pointing once I do the turn. Okay, so do that for me now, and I will turn it. Now, obviously, I'm going to turn this way because that's the direction that that the clock turns, and I'm going to do a full turn. So it's going to end up that way, same way it started. Okay, what about full turn anti-clockwise? Okay, again, have a look at it. Point the direction that you think the arrow is going to end up after I do a full turn anti-clockwise. Alright, so I'm going to turn it this way because that is the opposite direction that a clock goes, so therefore that is anti-clockwise, and I'm doing a full turn. So it again is pointed this way. What about this one? Half turn anti-clockwise. Half turn anti-clockwise. Alright, I want you to have a look. Point the direction that you think that the arrow will be pointing after I do a half turn anti-clockwise. Now, will I be turning the arrow this way? No, I won't, because that's clockwise. That's the direction the clock goes. We're going anti-clockwise. So I'm going to go this way, and I'm only going to do a half turn. So the arrow is now pointing this way. All right, the arrow is pointing this way. So that's the half turn anti-clockwise. Let's get it back to where it was. Whoops, that's not very good. All right, next one is a quarter turn clockwise. Quarter turn clockwise. Now a clock has 4 quarters on it. Right, so if we're turning a quarter clockwise, point the direction that you think the arrow will be facing once we do that turn. Alright, let's have a look. It goes like that. Okay, we went clockwise, the direction the clock goes, and only a quarter turn. Just like that. Couple more. A half turn clockwise. Point the direction that you think a half turn clockwise would go. And I'm going to go this way, aren't I? Because that's clockwise. No, that's going the wrong way. I'm going to go this way and do a half turn. Whoop, whoa, went way too far. Oh my goodness. Let's try that again. This is technology for you, everybody. All right, half turn clockwise. There we go, and it looks like that. And the last one is 3/4 turn anti-clockwise. So I'm going to get it back to the initial position. And I'm going to go 3/4. So 1, 2, 3. And that'll be pointing straight up in the air. So that is how you complete that task. Now, if you go on to the next slide, you'll see a worksheet. I'm going to post another video on the next slide just to help explain and show you an example of how to do that worksheet, because it can be a little bit tricky as well.